How to counter narcissistic rage. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Coach Tobias Forst, founder of Achilles Life Coaching, decade-long recipient of narcissistic abuse, and I've saved myself from it. And I will support you on your journey to your personal freedom. So let's take a look at the following baseline today. Let the situation be this, that the narcissist in your life becomes very angry with you, very invalidating, loud, insulting, triangulating, incorporating other people who, of course, are not physically present, who all share the same opinion as he or she does toward you, apparently. And the narcissist also engages in gaslighting, as usual. With that in mind, when it comes to narcissistic rage, who is it directed against? Who are the targets of narcissistic rage? Targets of narcissistic rage are people like you who remove themselves from the control that the narcissist craves. It has worked on you for such a long time. Why not now? How dare you put boundaries and consequences for their violation in place? Narcissistic rage is also directed against people who caused narcissistic injury and or narcissistic mortification. This is where you basically have someone behaving like a hurt animal, lashing out in any way it can. And last but not least, who else is narcissistic rage directed against and aimed at? People who threaten the so carefully constructed image of the narcissist. So in order to illustrate what narcissistic rage can look like and how you can react to it, we will take a look at a specific scene from a particular movie. Let's have a look at Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. The confrontation using the Force between two highly skilled people, Count Dooku on the one hand and Jedi Grandmaster Yoda on the other hand. Let those pictures and metaphors and the way it is being laid out serve as a transport vehicle for you to get a better understanding of narcissistic rage and the reactions thereto. You can find the scene that I will go into detail in the rest of the video linked in the pinned comment below. So first off, let's look at the one who employs narcissistic rage in a metaphorical way, which is Count Dooku. Dooku, the word Dooku coming from Japanese, spelled D-U-K-O, means poison or venom. Toxicity. So there we have the first hint as to how manipulative in what manipulative way he approaches any and every of his dealings and interactions. Second, he was bestowed upon with a Sith title called Darth Tyrannus. So Lord Tyrannus, Count Dooku, also acts as an oppressor. With that in mind, Count Dooku by himself was not a narcissist due to all the background stories that came out in books like Dooku, Jedi Lost, but still, for relevance for our video today, he displays a lot of grandiose narcissist behaviors. During this scene, to illustrate this last point right now, he utters the words toward Grandmaster Yoda, his former master in the Jedi Order. "I have become more powerful than any Jedi, even you. And then the duel of the force powers starts to commence. So there are 5 stages to this particular scene, and what I would like you to take away from it before we go into detail is narcissistic rage is always a process of escalation toward you. There are different subcontexts that you can pay attention to, here metaphorically displayed in a science fiction setting, but always expect an escalation when you are the recipient of narcissistic rage. So stage number one, Count Dooku, Forst throws, telekinetically throws some tool toward Master Yoda. He just catches it telekinetically and shoves it aside. Then there's a bigger sort of a pipe or valve or whatever, canister, that he throws at Grandmaster Yoda. The latter catches it, shoves that aside as well. The narcissistic rage increases, and Count Dooku tries to successfully brings down parts of the ceiling, and stones fall down toward Grandmaster Yoda. And Yoda catches all of those stones that threaten his person, and the ones that are not really reaching him, that fall. It's an attack, it's all part of the attack, the stones coming down, but the ones that would not hit him, he doesn't bother with them. So keep that in mind when you receive narcissistic rage. Not every attack that is aimed at you is actually capable of reaching and or hurting you. So why bother with them? Leia. Come. Leia, would you? Yeah. Little Princess Leia interfering with our affairs for the last time. Anyway, number 4, now the escalation increases even more. Count Dooku fires the first Force lightning, the most destructive power, or one of the most destructive powers in Sith training arsenal, toward Master Yoda, and Yoda catches the lightning and reflects it back toward Count Dooku. Yoda was not the creator of this, but he used it and shoved it back at its creator. Dooku, as a reaction, highly confused, highly surprised that this was even possible, that someone would resist in such a way, has no other option than to hastily block the reflected lightning to have it dissipate somewhere at the ceiling to the side. Stage number 5, the final stage of this illustration of narcissistic rage in this scene, is that Count Dooku just keeps on firing a lightning barrage toward Master Yoda. And Yoda, knowing that an escalation by constantly keeping reflecting the lightning, just absorbs it in his hand, and when he's about to extinguish this destructive barrage that was directed at him, he just comments toward his former Padawan with the words, "Much to learn, you still have." So what happened? Stages 1, 2, 3. Tool number 1, bigger tool number 2, parts of the ceiling number 3, escalation of narcissistic rage. Yoda basically goes grey rock. He's not bothered by this, he's not bothered by that. And the latter part, just get it out of the way. So with you employing grey rock, if you're unfamiliar with the grey rock technique, you can search it online on YouTube. There are a lot of sources for this, and on the web. Nothing is more boring than a grey rock, so this is exactly what you can aim for to make yourself as boring as possible. Your way, your translation of Master Yoda's behavior toward Count Dooku could be akin to Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Uh-huh. Short answers. Unbothered, emotionally, mentally unbothered. Number 4. The first barrage of force lightning by the person behaving like a grandiose narcissist. He reflects it back. So this is something, depending on your situation, which I will explain after this example, you can do too. You didn't start this argument, but he or she did again. And you are very capable of raising your voice at the same time and show the same or even higher intensity than your interlocutor to put them in their place. There will be shock, there will be surprise on their faces, as Count Dooku did. Where do I not recommend this? If you are, ladies and gentlemen, in a situation where you have to live together with a narcissist, I recommend that you do not escalate like this. Do not throw back the same or more intense insults, invalidations as he or she has. It will get worse over time, and escalation will have to, in that context, continue on both sides, because he or she just cannot let it go. That would be like admitting to failure, and the constructed false god cannot be wrong now, can he or she? But where do I recommend this? Especially you gentlemen. You know that most interactions among men, there's always the sword of Damocles, the metaphorical one, that we think, how would a physical confrontation, should it happen, should it come to that, how would it unfold? So, if somebody in something, if you find yourself in a situation, and I'll get to our example of narcissistic rage in a moment, if you find yourself in a situation that might escalate to physical altercations, and you're at the verbal stage at this point, do not hesitate to raise your voice and to display an equal amount or even higher willpower than the aggressor opposite of you. This, in most cases, will be enough to make, especially him, reconsider. Now, when we come to narcissistic rage, the verbal aspect of it, it can in some cases even be physical. Then you should seek help from the authorities and inform your circle of friends and family so that they are on standby to intervene. Let's say you receive narcissistic abuse in that way, with a high degree of invalidation, gaslighting, insults all the way, and you do not have to live together with this person, but you feel the need to adjust him or her. A brief example from my life. I was a guest speaker at a seminar some time ago, and there was a group of about 20-25 people, I don't recall exactly. And there was one gentleman who tried to puff his chest and try to invalidate what I was speaking about, and in contrast to everybody else who was there to listen and to learn and to adopt from what I elaborated on for their lives whatever they needed and discard whatever they didn't. This gentleman felt the need to verbally confront me. I put the boy in a man's body, in his place, in front of the audience that he chose. And what happened next was that after the lunch break, he didn't return. because the coach was so bad. The rest of the seminar was peaceful, needless to say. I didn't have to live together with this person, so I could tune him out by, for a few words, become louder than he was, to irritate him, and then continue in the same matter-of-fact way as I am speaking right now, to deconstruct him. Now back to the movie example of those 5 stages of force powers of escalating narcissistic rage, metaphorically, displayed by Count Dooku toward his former master, Grandmaster Yoda. Stage number 5, continued force lightning, and the realization on Master Yoda's part was, I don't want to escalate this any further, I just want to show my supremacy here. And he caught it and unmade it. It did not hit him, he just dematerialized the entirety of this vicious and destructive attack. Now for you, ladies and gentlemen, there are no specific stages of narcissistic rage. But as I said at the beginning, expect an escalation. And if you do not escalate, they will, he or she will, for a time at least, try to do so in order to get an emotional rise out of you. Don't take the bait, but more on that later. Regarding your reaction to stage number 5, let's say the narcissistic rage you receive is the most verbally vile and insulting that you've heard in a long time. Your way of unmaking that lightning barrage could be something along the lines of leaning in like this. Are you okay? Yeah? Doesn't seem like it, because you're talking shit again. Or, this conversation is over. Nod or look stupid, if you understand. You don't have to justify yourself. These people are destroyers. Why would you care how they feel? More on that later. But this could be your stage 5, your reaction to the metaphorical force lightning directed at you, and you just dissolve the attack. And verbally, calmly, make it clear that something is wrong with them, which it obviously is, or leave the situation and get out. So this reaction to stage number 5 in that context, and stages 1, 2, and 3, just taking what comes your way and moving it out of that way. Grey rock, very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Or in Yoda's case, we might even coin a new term, green rock, if you will. And if the good Samaritan helper Dr. Ramani might ever see this video, maybe, ma'am, you could put a word in for green rock. A word you could, input you could. So that said, let's come to the penultimate part of today's video, ladies and gents. Who does narcissistic rage work best against? Who does it work best against? The ones that can be baited, as it can be seen in the first duel that Count Dooku has against Anakin Skywalker. Anakin just mindlessly charges this man. He gets a lightning to the chest, gets thrown to the side, and after a pause that he needs to take, has another duel with the Count, and thereby he loses, and also loses his sword arm. So don't take the bait. The ones that can be baited to react without thinking, without peace of mind, without a calm intent. These are types of people who are very susceptible to narcissistic rage, that the narcissist can actually get their will by employing the tool of narcissistic rage. Who else? We can pick the second duel, the inexperienced. There was the second duel that Master Yoda has, Count Dooku has against Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Kenobi didn't really stand a chance, and he was so inept at confronting this narcissistic rage of this man that the latter even had the precision to target, in that case, physically in this scene, to stab him through the left upper arm and through the left upper leg. Just incapacitate him. This guy is done, he's out of the fight for the next few weeks. So, the inexperienced. And last but not least, people who avoid conflict. People who avoid conflict, at least according to what I have experienced and I see in many people, and especially clients that I coach to counter this, to learn the lessons, to act differently from now on. Many of those who are very susceptible to narcissistic rage are conflict avoidant. This takes time, this takes training, more on that in the final part of the video. But ladies and gentlemen, for your mindset, peace is not given, peace is made, peace is fought for. That means that you will need to fight for the peace you wish to have. Now the final part of today's video. What are your prerequisites? Your prerequisites to effectively counter narcissistic rage. You need to achieve mastery. We're starting with the final point as the first point. You need to achieve mastery. Of course you do. Of course you do. What does mastery require? Training, training, training. So interactions with narcissists, who you might not be able to leave at this point, there will be plenty of occasions where you find yourself on the receiving end of narcissistic rage. All of those are for opportunities for you to train and to achieve mastery. What else does it require? It requires that you inform yourself about strategies like the very, very effective grey rock to make yourself unassailable and as boring as possible, and also of how to lead a discussion, how to talk to people, how to control the conversation if you have somebody, if you have your own Darth Tyrannus opposite of you. Then we have, hopefully, as a prerequisite for you to counter narcissistic rage, your situation where you cannot be extorted. Hopefully there is nothing that they can hold against you. If you don't yield, they might follow through on XYZ. And moreover, if there are such elements, like them trying to verbally and invalidatingly hurt other people in order to hurt you by extension, how much of a sway is this supposed to have? Do you always wish to be the slave to such a person? You might want to reevaluate. Sometimes compromise for a time must happen, but after a certain point, at least the way I live my life now, there is no more compromise. And this is a state that I wish for you to achieve at some point, because it is just a game changer. And the last two parts are the most important ones for me in this video. Your empathy needs to be on pause. And finally, dehumanize who you are talking to. They don't care about your feelings. Why should you care about theirs? So feel free to invalidate them and verbally hurt them if you do, or don't give them the validation by grey rocking, and do not care about how they feel that they don't get a rise out of you. And apart from that, what remains for the narcissists, some state that will never change, much to learn, they still have. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, be your own hero, be your own heroine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.